Hello, we are Group 9 for Mental Health. My name's Taylor.
My name is Luis.
My name is Julita.
My name is Jasmine.
My name is Cassandra.
And my name is Brenda.
So today we decided to talk about substance abuse disorder. Let's see how this goes. So who wants to start off? Like, what is substance abuse disorder?
Substance abuse refers to the misuse of various legal and illegal substances, leading to negative consequences, and then it involves using substances in a way that is harmful and physical to the mental health. For the types of abuse, like substance abuse disorders, I have alcohol, prescription and over-the-counter medicine, heroin, cocaine, tobacco, and I think that should be it.
So, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, people begin taking drugs for a variety of reasons, either to feel good, to do better. Most of the time it's peer pressure, because probably your friends do it, you want to do it, or just because you like the feeling of being under the substance abuse.
That's terrible. Your friends are forcing you to do drugs. That's crazy.
That's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
But like substance abuse is I think a big thing with people who are in I guess celebrities. You see them a lot of the times have problems with substance abuse, unfortunately, especially because they're always having to I feel live to that expectation, peer pressure, like you said. So that's around a lot.
Yeah, for example, for the alcohol, I have with for men consuming 5 or more drinks a day or 15 plus a week, that's considered substance abuse. For women, I have 4 or more drinks a day or 8 plus per week. I guess you should look out for them because then something's going on.
5 drinks a day is kind of crazy.
No,
yeah,
that's
kind of extensive.
For breakfast? No.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Right, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. But going back to your to what you mentioned about celebrities, I kind of it's not my thing, but I like watching docuseries of former artists and stuff like that, and that's always a common thing. It's always about living for the moment, you know. And when it comes to the stage of their careers where they're not performing, they're not making music, they're not as well known, they still like the feeling, the rush, the adrenaline of being on stage. And a lot of the times when they mention they're part of when they abuse substances, that's always a common reasoning. Oh, it's because I miss the feeling, I miss that rush, I miss being a part of this. So by doing this, it gives me that feeling again, gives me that high of what I miss.
And a good example is I don't know if you guys have seen Jersey Shore, but the situation, he had a really big substance abuse problem. And he was able to completely turn his life around. He even wrote a book about it, and he said that when he was doing those things, it was the lowest point of his life and stuff, just trying to get away from feeling what he was feeling. And I feel that's also a reason. Imagine you're up one day and then another day you're rock bottom, and it's oh, you want to feel good, so that's the alternative, you know.
Yeah, and I want to add on top of that, speaking of peer pressure, I had an aunt before, and she actually suffered alcoholism. She was in high school when she first started drinking alcohol, she started abusing. I know it was all because of a soccer team. The girls were pushing her to drinking to fit in, and going to parties at since freshman year, raves and all those things, and obviously drugs starting to be involved in the daily lifestyle as well. Sadly, she passed away not long ago due to alcoholism, and she was sent to different clinics seeking help in Mexico, here in the U.S. And I guess that's one of the problems of drug abuse. You either relapse on the problem, or you find a way out to rehabilitate. And in this case, she ended up relapsing several times, leading her to her death in this case.
Because I think it's for most of the substance abuse cases, it's more likely to relapse than going I guess out of that life, because it's really hard.
Yeah,
And it's hard
really
to accept.
I think it's especially harder since she was so young. That's kind of the only thing she knew.
Yeah.
So I think that affects more.
And then
She's so
because,
young.
I'm sorry,
No, it's okay.
because when we are young, we think that everything is about party.
Yeah.
So we just want to have fun instead of focusing on what's happening
In
or
front of
like,
us.
yeah.
Life's an adventure. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, just living, you know.
It just becomes an addiction eventually.
Mhm.
So I guess that's the case in more like, I guess, college students.
Mhm.
That's the way they,
The
oh,
freedom
let's
part.
go have fun. I'm gonna go stress out of things. And, well, for me, I don't think that's a good thing to do.
That's not the
you know?
case, right?
Yeah, but like most people do it and they see it like as an activity of fun. So I don't know.
Actually, just yesterday, I don't know if you guys seen The Wolf on Wall Street.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. But
My favorite
the main character, the main character, like when he becomes a stockbroker, like everyone in the company is like, they all know about the drugs, they all know about like the things that they do to keep them like focused and everything. And that was one of the common things they did. I don't know if I can say like the substance, right? Cocaine, but like that's a frequent drug that was there in the office because to them it'll help them focus. And at first he's like, no, like I don't need that stuff to focus and do my job. Like I could do it like without needing any assistance. But literally like after the first time he was like pressured into it with his friends and he was like, just one time, like this is one time, that's it. And that eventually snowballed into every day, every hour, every
And
Yeah,
every
different
chance you get the
things
guy.
too.
Yeah, not only that, it eventually you like build tolerance like to that drug, so you start seeking like something like, that's gonna keep you high like more, you know.
Mhm.
So
the bitter hand.
that,
Yeah.
It's amazing stuff, and yeah, that's when everything starts going downhill.
Downhill.
And it's crazy because it's mostly young people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like one day my brother was like, let's go to a party, it's a mansion party. I'm like, okay, let's go. He's, I think he was like 18, I was already 20. And then I went and it was just like young kids like getting like all drugged and then doing things that you're like, and then supposedly there was some police there, but they were selling drugs like on the side.
That's
And I'm
crazy.
like,
That is
are
kind of
you,
wild.
like, are you working or are you like
You're here for fun too.
high right here?
Go ahead and clock in.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What about like I guess like what about like real world examples? What about that, like case studies or something?
So I actually have a case study. It's about a 27-year-old female. She was admitted to Destination Hope treatment, but they kept her identity a secret. So she went in because she had substance abuse for drugs and for alcohol, and she had been battling it since she was a teenager. And she went in because it actually started affecting her relationship with like her husband and her kids. It got to the point where she would do it in front of her kids. So she lost custody and she would have to have supervised visits with them. So that's when she realized that I need to get help. So the substance abuse actually, she had already like mental health illness problems, and that actually increased her suicidal like ideations and her partaking in like many risky behavior, such as like putting her children in danger. And when she admitted to the hospital, she was kind of like guarded and she didn't want to really like talk about it. She was like, I'm fine, until like in the article it actually says how like the process was first like having her acknowledge the problem and be like, it's not the world's fault, it's like it's my problem, and I kind of have to identify like the triggers and everything. So
yeah, I guess that's a big issue, like denial. Like
yeah.
it's really bad. And
it's
especially with like young
mhm.
people who start consuming alcohol or substance abuse. I mean, at a young age, your brain's still developing. So obviously, if your brain's still developing, your brain's gonna take it as, okay, this is something natural or something good to take, and it eventually becomes like, I guess like a habit or an addiction, which starts like taking, I don't know, taking time, I guess, or like taking over you.
No, you're right, because I know like that's also one of the long-term factors of substance abuse is like lapse in judgment, like not making the right choices at the right time. Like that, for example, like with their kids, like that's something you don't want them to see. Like growing up, like if that's something that you don't want something for your kids, then like, naturally you do everything possible to prevent that from happening. But in case like this, where you need it in some instances, like where you feel like you need it anyways, that's kind of one of the
And then most of the
major
people
downside.
who suffer from that disorder think that they're not harming no one, just like themselves, but in reality, you're harming everyone that loves you, that surrounds you.
They kind of start losing like the sense of like right and wrong,
Mhm.
what I'm supposed to do when I'm not.
Yeah. And it's kind of unfortunate because like a lot of the times like the families have to like disconnect with them so that way they can get the help that they need, because they have to like let them actually hit rock bottom, and sometimes even rock bottom isn't enough for them to want to change, because like you said, like they have to realize it and they have to stop being in denial and be like, you know what, like I have a problem and I have to fix it. Like it's up to me, not anybody else. Like you have to want it more than others want it for you.
Like the difference between a support system and
Yeah.
them doing it for you, you know?
Exactly.
That's what I think that's where the confusion happens between the two. But what about like, is there, can you guys think of any ways to prevent substance abuse?
You know what, I think it's important to, as a family, the household, I guess, to identify the problem at an early stage. That way we can avoid it from like evolving and getting into a worse situation. So I definitely think like keeping an eye on your kids, you know, and know where they are, who they're hanging out with, and keeping them involved in sports and all those things, you know.
Yeah, things that distract them, keep them away
Yeah.
from, I see what you mean.
And those are like healthy outlets, because like substance abuse is pretty much like a, in a way, like a coping mechanism.
Mhm.
So like if, you know, like if you're into like, let's say like not even sports, but like you have something that like lets you release like any type of like emotions, like it'll help them like not want to do those things. So it's like, why would I want to do that when I have like the gym going for me, or like if I have like school going for me? Like they have to have something that supports them and makes like life a little bit more bearable for them.
Nah, and that's why, like, I guess always programs like that, you know, like where it's not just you, like you can express, you can talk to people, you know, like even like in sports programs,
Yeah.
you can make friends, you can talk to them about your personal stuff that you don't have to hide or bottle it in, you know.
Yeah, you can even get engaged in the community, do volunteering
Mhm.
hours, you know, you meet a lot of nice people there.
Be out there, yeah.
And also like keep an open mind, because I know like maybe they may think like drugs is a better way than going to like therapy or something, and I think keeping an open mind and being like there's other ways for me to overcome what's happening in my life.
That's okay. Alright, what about, you guys anything else you need to add, or feel like covered everything?
I mean, how do you know that someone is like, what symptoms do you see in a person that it's like doing substance abuse?
That's true. Do you guys know any symptoms?
Well, I saw that like they tend to have like a lack in interest in things that they used to like, so they start just kind of withdrawing. They start hanging out with a different crowd. I mean, like you are who you hang out with, so obviously you're gonna be going with more people that do that kind of stuff rather than your older friends who kind of don't really have an interest in that. They kind of stop taking care of themselves. They spend more time alone. They eat more or less depending on like what they're doing. And they tend to have like problems like keeping a job, or like I said, like problems with their families. And they like have like really distinct mood changes. Like they'll be feeling really good and then all of a sudden they're upset. Like it just kind of alters like their mood, and they just can't like contain themselves. Like they have to use like the substance. There's no type of like control. And I feel like sometimes like people are really good at hiding that stuff, and sometimes people have issues and you don't even realize. So you just kind of read in between the lines on how their actions, what they really mean. So.
As far as treating substance use disorder, I feel like it's important to have like, to be dedicated and wanting to actually recover. I know it's kind of hard, it's super hard to, first of all, realize you have like a problem, and I guess you have to like identify like you're not only harming yourself but also people who surround you. So I feel like dedication and recovery is also like a big component to overcoming this.
I feel like that also like goes in hand with the entire aspect of like relapsing, stuff like that, you know? Like if you have the discipline to tell yourself, nah, like don't go back to that, no, like you don't need this, you know? Also, I see that too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because like a lot of people who have like substance abuse issues, like I guess like the main problem at hand is like an addiction issue. And normally they pick up other like addictions, like maybe not in a bad way, but they become addicted to like going back to like Mike, the situation, he like eats a lot now. And like, or like there was a woman that I had seen like in a documentary that she was addicted to like cocaine, and she like started like getting addicted to the gym. So she like literally spends like all her time at the gym. So yeah, it's a healthy like outlet than like drugs, but they still kind of have like those tendencies in a weird way.
All right, well, that concludes our podcast of substance abuse disorder. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and see you next time.